Hello, my name is David Withington. Well, you knew that because it says it right there, doesn't it? I live in Wigan in England, and for 40 years I worked in telecoms, and then I decided to take early retirement to do what I love, which is all things internet, helping people to succeed on the internet online. I do things like blogging, websites, search engine optimization, and do workshops that help people to understand technology, simplifying technology. It's called Tech It Easy. Play on words there, a nice Wigan phrase, take it easy. Anyway, Alan Jones asked me to share my story of how I came to faith. And it all started when I was around about 10 years old, when one day my mum didn't come home from work. And as you can imagine, at 10, you're a bit concerned about that. And I found out later that she'd had a problem with the inner ear, her inner ear. And that had caused a balance problem, which ultimately resulted in her being stone deaf in that ear. A visit to the doctor and ultimately to the specialist said, sorry, there's nothing we can do for you. You'll have to live with it. At least you've got one good ear. You just have to live with being deaf in the other ear. Well, roll on a couple of years and we got a leaflet through our front door, through the letterbox, from a chap called Melvin Banks, who was holding some special meetings right across the road from where we lived in a marquee. And on the leaflet, it talked about all these miracles that had happened when he prayed for people. So he prayed for the sick and they got healed. So my mum thought, well, I've nothing to lose here. So she said, I'm going to go across, and I tagged along with her. We left my dad at home watching his cowboy film, and off we trundled to the marquee. Melvin Banks preached a simple gospel message, and afterwards said, anybody want to be prayed for? Anyone want to be healed? And my mum thought, right, off I go. So she trundled off to the front, sat down. Melvin Banks simply came, placed his hand on her head and prayed, and instantly her ear opened. It was a miracle. Now, you can imagine how she felt. I mean, there were tears everywhere, so I think she was happy. um, and you can imagine the effect on well, I was nearly 12 at that point in time. You can imagine how I was affected by that. I mean, God existed. God did things. God was real. God healed my mum. So off we went home. My mum burst in through the front door. Well, she opened it first, of course, and shouted to my dad, Fred, I can hear. What? So he turns off his television, his cowboy films, and starts listening to the story. So my mum picks up the telephone and listens to the dial tone, something she's never been able to hear for a couple of years, and puts it down again, picks it up again, and puts it down again, picks it up again. And that went on nearly all night. Just the wonder of that. So you can imagine how that affected me at nearly 12 years old. And it was a few years later when I gave my life to Jesus. And I said to God, look, God, if this is real and people are talking about a relationship with you, I want this. I want to know you for real. And I'm the sort of person that likes reality. I'm a practical guy. I'm into technology, and so I like proof. I'm a bit like Thomas, really. Thomas is one of my favourite Bible characters, um, and so I wanted to know if this was for real. So anyway, in faith, I just said, Lord, I want you to come into my life, and I want you to become part of my whole life. And I went to bed, and I woke up in the morning, and something had changed. I looked at a tree and it was green. I mean, like vivid green, and it was brilliant. And I didn't know what had happened, but I knew something had changed. Something was very different. And now I know, of course, that I'd become a Christian. Jesus had come into my life and he'd made things very, very different. And that was the start of my journey with God. It all started because God showed me that he was real. He showed me by healing my mum, and ultimately I came into a personal faith with him. So that's my story. That's the story of David Withington. Hope you liked it.